Greetings, friends! I want to share with you a very quick breakdown of this animation that I created for the Feels Like I'm Falling in Love fan lyric video, a project put together over on Coldplay Discord. I was tasked with creating the intro, no pressure, but I think it came out pretty well. I'm happy with how it came out. This is going to be a very, very quick breakdown, and for a much longer, like 10 times longer version of this, you can check out my Patreon. In the beginning, the main visual of this smoke simulation is the main visual that I wanted to get across. The song has this like beginning to it, and that's really what I had in my head, even from the first time that I listened to the song, let alone when I found out that I was going to do the intro. It was both intimidating and exciting, though. It's like one of my favorite parts of the song. So I created a smoke simulation in Blender. I actually worked with 2 different tutorials from Blender Made Easy. Is that the channel? The links are over on my Patreon video, and you can search smoke simulation Blender and get it. I've worked with smoke simulation, fluid simulations in Blender before, but not very often and not very recently, so I really needed those tutorials. This first one is like a mist look, and I went with this so that I get a smoke effect that fills the whole screen. And I also ended up creating this more ink drop type animation, ultimately to use as a way to transition out of my visuals at the end. I created those, rendered those out as images, brought them into After Effects, and this is where I compiled everything. Different graphics like the heart and this Feels Like I'm Falling in Love text, I actually pulled those from Coldplay's website. They have these assets here on the site as SVG files. So that means they're vector files. They are infinitely scalable and very easy to just save. I found out going through my longer breakdown that they actually are SVG files you can right click and save as now. But when I was going through, all I could find was the SVG code. So I had to copy that and paste it into Notepad and save it as an SVG, but we got it working. The fan lyric video text, I had to find a comparable font to create this text, and then I ultimately ended up, because it's all shape layers, so it's not actual text, I made this stuff in Illustrator and exported it over to After Effects. Because of that, I was able to take some of these letters from this SVG and replace the letters that were from the new font to better match everything. So I think the F probably, definitely the A, definitely the I, and maybe even some of the other letters like the E. So like I said, it matches a little better. Not perfect, but that's okay. And the heart I pulled straight from the website as well. I also have a gradient working on that layer. For this project specifically, and pretty much anything where I'm not restricted in what I can use in After Effects, I rely a lot on these things called track mats. So that's this. It's referencing another layer, this heart, and just saying, hey, where that heart is, that's where you will show through, and where there's no heart, don't show through. So you get something like this where you can see the heart, you can see the gradient where the heart is. What else did I do with this? Added some particles down here. These particles, just some little sparkles, and the stars that are in the beginning, which you may or may not have been able to actually see because I made them very small. Sometimes I work like this, and I don't work enough like this in seeing how's it going to look when someone looks at it on a phone with their brightness turned way down, as I did. So I don't know how well the stars came through in the end, but they're there. And I just have the Coldplay text. That was an important piece of my contribution, was to have the title in here, Coldplay Feels Like I'm Falling in Love fan lyric video. And so I made sure that those are in there. At the end, the smoke effect at the end, by the way, is also using a track mat at this point. The only thing that it really impacts is the background, because everything else was gone, all the text and the heart. So I have the track mat, but it's an inverse track mat. So instead of showing where the smoke is on this layer, it's showing where the smoke is not. And therefore it can act as a transition. So if you were to throw a video underneath this, or an image, or some other kind of graphic, that would begin to show in these parts that right now have the transparency checkerboard on it. So that's it. So thanks for checking this out, and thanks for watching the fan lyric video, and I'll see you around. Peace out.